So firstly, peace to the gods, peace to the goddesses. Per usual, we want to always take the time to initiate with giving gratitude and giving thanks, recognition, acknowledgement, reverence to ancestors, to spirit, to the orishas. Always want to make sure that we're taking the time to give gratitude, give reverence, acknowledgement, and appreciation for Mother Tiamat, for housing us, for nurturing us, and guiding us on this journey back into self. Um, this should be I'm gonna try to keep it short. You know, again, messages are as long as they need to be. Whatever needs to be said is what is said. Um, so as I smoke, I'm gonna talk about weed and lucidity, what it is to be lucid, um, and reasons why we smoke weed so heavily in this society. And it's coming from the original understanding of and purpose of weed and cannabis. Again, when we're engaging in it, in the activity of, everyone always says we're going to get high. So what does that mean? What does getting high mean, right? And we have to place ourselves in the understanding that it is simply higher states of consciousness, higher states of being, higher frequencies in certain situations. If you take a note, a lot of people, when they're stressed, anxious, having a bad day, they smoke weed, and things seemingly for that moment, that time being, get better. Because it's placing you in this higher state of mind or a higher state of being in which an individual feels at peace. Or not even at peace, the word more so would be content, where the phrase everything is everything. And that is simply understanding that things happen as they do because they were intended to. So as we shift and flow with the movement of existence, understand that we're always where we need to be. And as I've been building my relationship with Ganga, the spirit of marijuana, that seemingly, not even seemingly, that is the message that we shall come to a place of being in the now and understanding that the things that occurred because they should. And when we engage in marijuana and weed, we're taking the time to, at minimum, subconsciously reflect on this. So we're able to return ourselves into a more stable state of being, to where we're no longer stressed or worried. We can take another step forward. We're not stuck. Um, and it's also another reason why we engage what I'm understanding is the subconscious internal desire to be lucid. And that's simply the understanding that yes, this is here, yes, this is occurring, but it's not real, it's not crystallized, it's not solid. So when we're moving in those now moments, we're able to understand that the past was the past, and that doesn't define your existence. That doesn't define who you are. This is just a simple moment in time. So lucidity is the concept that things lose their density, their level of denseness with time. So these are this this is a concept that's usually associated, with the structure of things, how solid a thing is, like seeing a wall and being able to simply just walk through this wall. That would be to be lucid in reality, to have a lucid reality, where yeah we see this roof, but because we understand this is not a permanent thing, we can phase through it, so to speak. Right? This only comes when we get into a mind state or a state of being in which we're merged, if you will. I use the term merged loosely, but for lack of better terms, when you merge, say, past, present, future into one, now you're entering a state where things can be shifted in and out because there's no definition to that being, to that thing, to that place. And lucidity is concept, thought form, idea that spans across multiple spectrums. Of course, you have your physical lucidity, you have your spiritual lucidity, you have your mental lucidity, and physically, of course, again, that would be, you see a wall, this wall is only here to provide support, but it's not an actual thing, so you can walk through it. Um, and I think because right, we're in a stage in time where we're awakening and we're returning to that mindset that we're all things, simply put. So if I'm all things, I know that I can be here and there. So what is a wall? And we engage in activities such as marijuana or psychedelics so that we can spiritually and mentally feel those states of lucidity. Of course, reaching a physical state of lucidity is a difficult task that takes, of course, transcendence of dimension. So we're longing for we're longing for that. Simply put, we're longing for that lucidness where yeah, there's a guideline, but there's no real boundary, if that makes sense. So again, with that wall, this wall is simply here to provide us with some form of separation. But in the grand scheme of things, if I wanted to cross this line, there's nothing stopping. If I wanted to cross this wall, there would be nothing stopping because it is simply a concept to provide detail. And then when it comes to mental lucidity, again, this is where we get into actual the awakening process. When and that's what a lot of people probably don't actually understand. Now that I'm sitting here saying it out loud, I'm thinking about it, that your spiritual awakening process is in part you becoming lucid, you falling into these internal and external portals and entering a different state of being, entering a different existence while still maintaining this existence. This is where you get people who can channel or read the Akashic records because your mind has become lucid enough to walk through those mental walls, to walk through those mental barriers. And it's one of those, if you can imagine what the inside of your brain would look like, liken it to, say, an office space with cubicles. And of course, each cubicle is separated. This cubicle might be a square. And then you got another rectangle cubicle across the hall, or, whatever. That's off topic. But the point is observing that within the mind are barriers, of course, like for information. You're not going to have the information for brushing your teeth on the same side as the information of building a structure. Those are two different departments. So, and that would be a good word, compartments within the mind. And compartments are obviously bordered off. So when you get to beings that channel, when you get to beings that read the Akashic records, to beings that astral project, it's a certain level of lucidity that has already occurred and is continuing to occur. Because what we have to realize is, again, this whole journey from start to finish is returning back to source. So if source is this great being, an amalgamation of all things, at some point don't we have to merge, right? We have to come back into unison with everything that's existing. And that takes us to again having to walk through certain barriers, because the barriers are what's separating. And if we're coming back into one, you can't have a separation. So you reach an ability, if you will. Lucidity is an ability where you're capable of walking through walls. Because here and there are the same space. They just have a wall. They have a border, a boundary, a separation. So we reach the point of being where here and there is both here. So, and the only thing separating the two is a T. The T stands for time. Here and there are only separated by states of time. So when we come to a point of being or existence where we're thinking on the levels of concepts that time is a mere construct itself. So if time begins to fade, barriers begin to fade. So that's just a thought. right? Some, excuse me. That's just a thought, something to ponder, something to conceptualize, understand, and overstand. Because one of the new concepts that's been introduced to me, which again ties back into this lucidity, because everything is here. There is no there, though we perceive over there. Everything is here. This is one big space that we've created boundaries and borders for. And reach a certain light density again. What I've been learning is a concept. It'll probably be like, honestly, I give it a couple years before this concept becomes a mainstream scientific topic. It's called photokinetics. This is one of the things you can actually go Google. I took the time to see because I thought I was like making some new shit up. And if you Google photokinetics, what will come up is photokinesis. And it's basically the manipulation of light, the manipulation of photons, because that's what a photo is. Photons, light particles. So photokinetics, again, what'll pop up on Google will be the manipulation of light. Of course, you have your superheroes. The most recent, the Eternals. Athena's power actually technically would have been photokinetics because she was capable of drawing swords out of thin air, out of light particles. So, the point I'm getting at, the concept of photokinetics being exactly what it is. Photo, light particles, kinetics, motion. So light particles in motion. And it dawned on me. Listen to a lecture by Rashad Jamal, and he was mentioning the pyramids. That one of the reasons it doesn't necessarily work or isn't active is because it's frozen in time. It's not an actual. Obviously, it's a pyramid because that's the structure that it is, but it's not. It's not what we think it is. That more so, it's a ship in the shape of a pyramid. And this is actually that it's actually bringing flashes of memories because I've been playing with this thought and I couldn't quite grasp it or fully put it together. That what if one day the pyramids started flying and lifted off? And now that I'm saying it out loud, it's connecting a dot that because that it is a ship that again at that time period to have a ship that flies off into space, it has to be moving at a certain speed, the speed of light, right? And eventually it has to break the barrier of that speed of light. And in breaking the barrier, if you know anything about breaking the speed of light barrier, you become invisible. You dissipate the light particles, evaporate or dissolve, if you will. And what that does, again, to bring it back around to photokinetics, is again light and motion. If you're moving so fast that when the eye tries to perceive it, the eye isn't capable of moving that fast. So it's essentially like a freeze frame, and it pauses. Now, obviously, the reality of the ship itself flew off to whatever dimension it dissipated into. But because our eyes essentially haven't caught up, our understanding of that hasn't caught up. Because the download I received personally is that it was a choice to leave. Again, we had foresight back then. We had wide open pineal glands. We were lucid. We were capable of seeing things beyond what it was. So it came a point in time of knowing, okay, well, let's start getting ready, guys. We know this invasion is about to happen. We know the fall is about to happen. Let's go ahead and start packing up and get on up out of here. And it becomes a choice of, shit, I'm going to stay. I'm going to wait it out and see what happens during the fall. I'm going to see the process of the fall. And then there's others that's like, you have fun with that. I'm going to get up out of here. I'll come back when, things are normal again. And that's what, of course, we're seeing play out currently in reality. Certain beings are returning to the planet because things are trying to restabilize. So with that, in that time, when we have the ability or technology of the speed of light, being able to break the time barrier, you have your people that are staying and essentially witnessing this. Because we've prepared. It's like a preparation thing to prepare to not be prepared. So, and I might be getting off topic now. I might be getting scattered. Because this is actually, me saying it out loud is actually like bringing in a lot of downloads. And so to try to stay on topic, photokinetics, seeing the eye receiving too late, receiving the information that the ship is gone. The ship has flown off. It's wherever it is now. And what we're left with is an imprint. Again, like a photograph. Because of knowing what was there before and still trying to grasp that this is gone. If that makes sense. So, again, reasons why pyramids probably don't work is because it's a photograph. Slight particles frozen in time. So we're seeing a steel frame, essentially. And what potentially could happen, I'm not saying it will or not, I'm not sure. Eventually, if our eyes catch up, we might see a pyramidal ship land in that exact spot. I guess that's one of the things for time to tell. said, that's actually what I'm gonna call it again because now I have a lot of downloads to process. That actually like started a whole reel of stuff, whole reel of pictures and stuff. So I now need to go and process further and deeper. This is where I will close and send you all gratitude, send you all peace, and a reminder to always give thanks, reverence, acknowledgement, and appreciation to those before you, those guiding you, and those on the path with you.